Yeah. I love this little default track on this thing. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's your boy Claymore Rain. Round of applause for me. Back on this ATP Combat Media Show. You know, inspired to do my own thing. Inspired, you know, as of late, I've been going on different platforms and shout out to Blue Blood. Shout out to Fanon International Boxing, right? Is it? Yeah, I think it's Fanon International Boxing. Shout out to Boxing Wave. All these platforms that have allowed me to come on there and do my spiel. Some of them, everybody's been open arms for me for the most part. I've had I think on the Fanon show, I got a little bit more pushback on there, everybody, different strokes for different folks. But ultimately, I think somebody said something to me earlier today. And, I was already obviously, look at my setup, right? So this guy didn't inspire me within the last 20 hours to go to a BH Photoshop and buy thousands of dollars of equipment, in order to do the show. But, really, I have been dealing with whether or not I'm going to do something like this, right? Just dealing with it, just having a good time. We look for hobbies and you're looking for something to do. I got a full-time job. Obviously, this isn't what I do, but I love boxing, and newsflash, I love MMA. I love combat sports. I think it's naturally as a man, I think we naturally attract to those type of things, right? Football, right? Contact sports. So combat sports is something I've always naturally been fond of, right? And, you watch these platforms. I've been watching these platforms for, I would say probably going on, outside of the regular ESPN, First Take, watching the Teddy Atlases and the Paulie Malignaggi's and, Tim Bradley's. And I could probably go forever, right? We could just go down this list. That's normally who I watch. But now getting more into now getting more into actually watching the enthusiasts, right? The Fanons, the Blue Bloods, the Boxing Waves, the Boxing Voice, all these different platforms that have been doing their thing. I've been watching them. You know why? Because they've allowed, and you get to see other people, express their opinions on it, and just fans, right? Because that's what we all are at the end of the day, fans of the sport. We're not getting paid to do this. I'm sure Blue Blood and Fanon and all these guys are making their lion's share. They're making their money, and maybe one day I'll be in a position to make some money, right? But ultimately, though, that's inspiring to see that, right? And it's like, what, I could do that. I think I could do that. As much as I love the sport, as much as I follow the sport and been following it for a very long time, and I have opinions like everybody else, we all have opinions. So I decided to come together and try to put together a show. Well, today I was on Fanon's platform, and the conversation was about the most recent things going on in boxing today, and that being Francis Ngannou and Tyson Fury, and what happens with Francis Ngannou at this point, and what happens with heavyweight boxing at this point. But what I noticed is, you have people who have crowned themselves, they've crowned themselves oracles in this space, right? They've crowned themselves all knowing, and a lot of what ends up happening is a lot of heavy debates, and instead of building and I think the first thing that is always going to be needed in a conversation like this, because when you're analyzing and critiquing combat sports, well, really any sport for the most part, but specifically combat sports, is you gotta acknowledge what you know, and you gotta separate that from what you don't know, and then you gotta separate that from what your opinion is, right? So I think there's a missing link in there. There's the lack of respect for opinions, and understanding that what you're sharing is an opinion, and you can be passionate about that, but also understanding that there's room for other opinions in the room, and also that 2, 3 things, 4 things can be true at the same time. And the gentleman who I was speaking with, and I won't say his name, right? I won't do that. But I'll say that the gentleman, kind of went into Claymore Rain. This guy has no boxing knowledge, and he should just get his own show. And I laugh. I always laugh, because how can you get upset for real? Me, I mean, I guess you could, but I just can't get upset, because the internet is never going to be treated like the real world to me. We don't know each other. This gentleman doesn't even know my real name. Nobody on there really knows my real name. You guys don't know what we all are just, faces, voices on a platform. This gentleman didn't even show his face. He just had a meme right up there. And so what are we going to say? What are we going to do? We going to fight? We going, you know what I mean? Everybody is protected in their little, social media bubble where they can, be brazen and point their fingers at you and tell you what you don't know, and, call you stupid or morons, or, question your knowledge on a subject that you're speaking on, or, separating themselves from you because they take boxing so serious and they know so much about it and you don't, and ultimately, because of that, you shouldn't even be speaking. You should just be listening, taught while they teach, et cetera, right? And I got to give a guy props to say that that was inspiring, more so, because yeah, man, sometimes when you want to when you got an opinion and you want to really get deep into an explanation or deep into some perspective on something, you really need your own platform to do that, because when you're on these other platforms, that's their platform. That's where they shine at. That's their time to, they control the energy there, and rightfully so. But, that being said, here we are on my platform, ATP Combat Media Show. And what are we going to be doing here? Well, we're going to be unbiased, which is what I feel like it should always be. We're calling it straight down the middle. We're putting it out there up front that we're fans of the sport first and fans of the actual athletes second, right? But fans of all the athletes, unless, an athlete can rub you the wrong way and you can, have your personal feelings about it, or you can actually have an athlete who you're fond of, man, you could be a fanatic of them. But ultimately, first should always be the sport. First should always be the sport. And that's what I want to hold down here. So I'm sure, episodes into this, there'll be people who will say that you're a fan. I'm a fan of this guy, or I'm not a fan of this guy, or the famous, I'm just hating on this guy, and I'm bigging up this guy no matter what. It is what it is, right? I think from what I can tell, that's happening across the board. So we're going to kick it off, and we're going to do what we do. Those who like it, hang around, comment, subscribe, like. Those who don't, hate. Feel free to subscribe, comment as well. But we're going to have a good time. And I'm going to share my boxing knowledge, right? I'm going to share my boxing knowledge. And I encourage the comments to come in on your knowledge as well. And we'll do it that way. So what's the topic going to be today? The topic is going to be, what should I make the topic today? What is it going to be? Like, I know what I want to talk about, but what should it be called? Maybe I should come up with a name for it later, right? Let's just say we're going to call this, and we're going to head into the direction of possibilities and daring to be great. Possibilities and daring to be great. You know, in anything that somebody goes into, and we can even use myself as an example right now, going into this space, speaking on daring to be great. Right now, I'm in a situation where, you know, I'm opening up a platform. I'm going to be talking about boxing. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I know what I know, and I'm trying to deliver it, right? But, you know, as far as all of this stuff is concerned, this is all new to me. And somebody might be well in their right to, you know, criticize or chastise or tell me that I'm in over my head or I don't even know what I'm doing. You know, the lighting isn't right, you know, the sound isn't right, whatever have you. And they can tell you 100,000 reasons as to why you shouldn't be doing what you're trying to do. But you know what? At the end of the day, it takes only one. It takes one reason to move forward on your dreams and aspirations, and who knows what can happen. And, you know, segueing into what we're talking about, right? Francis Ngannou started his journey some 15 years ago. I don't know how long, somewhere 10 plus years ago. And he started off in some little village in Africa somewhere where he was living third world standards. Really didn't have a pot, probably a literal pot to piss in. And this guy saw a video of some fighting going on, some boxing, and he decided in that little village, like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do that, right? So he starts his journey. And he goes one time. He takes a little, from what I understand, it's like almost like a little boat, right, across the ocean to end up in a part of Europe to where he's trying to get into Paris. And he tries one time and he gets caught, sent back. He tries another time, he gets caught and he sent back. I hear like it was somewhere between like 3 to 5 times, maybe even more, before he finally made it into Paris, just to be poor, you know, 10, 20 bucks in his pocket. And the aspirations was, I'm going to be a boxer. So he gets on his journey. He catches the attention of a trainer at the gym, and the trainer's like, listen, man, I know you're trying to box, but you got some real natural talent. I think we can help you get out of your poverty situation a little quicker. Boxing's a little more difficult and complicated to get into, but in this MMA thing, I think we can get you in there. So he's like, I don't give a damn, man. This is still, you know, my dream to be a boxer, but whatever. There's steps in everything. So he does that, ends up in a big organization that we all know about called the UFC. This man's in his 20s, you know, trying to pursue this dream that most people who are doing it probably started in their, you know, at least teens, to be honest, and a lot of them even before that. But he's believing in himself and his natural ability to fight. And he ends up, you know, going to UFC and becoming a heavyweight champion in the UFC. And once he's built himself up to a certain extent and has gotten a certain status about himself, he pursues bigger ventures for himself. He says, I still want to do boxing. And the UFC wasn't allowing him to do that. They were putting a lot of restrictions on him, and he fought them. They told him, you're crazy. You're going to leave this opportunity that we're giving you right now, this money that we're offering you right now to do what you've been doing, to go do something you have no idea what's going to end up being. Who are you to say you're going to get in the ring with a Tyson Fury, a Deontay Wilder? Are you out of your mind? And Anthony Joshua? Have you lost your mind? He says, nah, I'm well in my mind. I know exactly what I want to do. And I'm going to go out there and figure it out. So he goes and he gets a contract with the PFL. The PFL sees his vision. Like, man, listen, man, you come over here. We just want you to do MMA, but we're not gonna put any restrictions on you. Go ahead and if you can get a boxing match, get it. And he pursues it. He stays quiet for about 2 years. You don't hear anything from him. A lot of people think that he's crazy. Well, behold a miracle that some people might want to call it, because this guy finds a way to coordinate a heavyweight title fight. Well, not a title, not the real WBC title, like another title, but still fighting the heavyweight champion of the world arguably the best heavyweight in the world, on some people's pound for pound list, and some people have him as the pound for pound fighter. Not yours truly. You know what I mean? I'm not going to lie to you. I think Terrence Crawford is the pound for pound best fighter. But at the end of the day, on the list, in the conversation, the last person on earth, some might say, that this guy should be looking to make his debut professional boxing career fight with. But he's doing it. And he's doing it for a handsome, handsome amount of money. Something that could probably change his whole life. You know, take care of his whole family. And he's by himself on this boat. You know, a couple people are supporting him. Obviously, his peers in his MMA community are supporting him, but also Mike Tyson and other people who are seeing also what he's seeing, and they're supporting him. And fight night comes. This man who should be defeated, who's already lost before he's even started the fight, before he's even gotten in the ring, has lost this fight, goes in there and faces odds that nobody thought. Any professional, from Teddy Atlas to Terrence Crawford to Paulie Malignaggi to anybody, you know, what's the gentleman's name with matchboxing with them? What's the gentleman's name? Oh my God, what's the gentleman's name? Eddie Hearns. They all say he has no chance. Zero chance at all in putting this together. And what ends up happening? Well, hindsight is a mother, because this man arguably beats the best heavyweight fighter in the world. Arguably. And now is in the conversation as an actual top contender in the actual professional boxing heavyweight division. And the world has been shaken. The world has been shaken. What are you guys talking about? How can you even dare to think to call this guy an actual contender in this division? Clearly, there were variables that affected what happened that night. I mean, congratulations to him for achieving a dream and his moral victory that he's achieved. But you guys got to stop playing. Heavyweight contender, stop it. Stop it. So, me, myself, I was one of those guys who said that he had no chance. I really didn't think he did. You know, I thought he was biting off a lot more than he could chew. I would think that he would have started somewhere way more in his range of where I thought he was as a boxer. But what do I know? What do I know? I'm just a fan, right? And humbly giving that man all his flowers and apologizing for underestimating him. But the world, especially the boxing community, is not very happy with the narrative that's being driven in right now with the possibilities of this guy being an actual competitor in this division. If I learned one thing from what Francis Ngannou just did this weekend, and I would encourage everybody else to also understand, is you never know. Never kick a man who's following his dreams. Never kick it, because you just never know. The stars can align for anyone. The stars can align and put a person in a position to do something that a lot of people might not feel like he deserves or that he's necessarily earned to be in. But as a famous producer once said, God did, right? And that's all that matters. Mike Tyson once said he had a little conversation with Francis Ngannou, and he says, "Man, you see where you come from? and what you've been through to get to where you are, he's like, you know why you are who you are, right? God favors you. He said God favors you. And he also told him, and you know equally what that means as well, what the other side of that coin is, the devil also favors you. And he told Francis Ngannou, don't forget who brought you to the dance. Make sure you dance with who brought you to the dance, because it's going to get real choppy out here. You know what I mean? You're going to have to learn how to survive in a room of vultures. And God, have we not seen the vultures come out in the past few days? So let's talk about it. Francis Ngannou doesn't box. The gentleman I spoke to earlier says he's not a boxer, he's a striker. There's a difference. Well, you know, sir, you're right. There's differences in everything in life. Deontay Wilder also came into the boxing game is not an orthodox boxer. He has his own way, and he's found his own lane and his own technique and strategy to getting the job done. Not everybody is going to come in the same way to get to the goal they're trying to get to. Francis Ngannou has shown the world that there's more than one way to skin a cat. And just because don't put the limitations that you have on yourself on me, bruh. We not the same, bruh. What you eat don't make me shit. And if people want to look at that as, oh, you just don't know boxing because you have this attitude about it, because you don't see it the way I see it, then so be it. You won't be the first to ever do it, and I doubt you'll be the last. History is painted with people who went against the grain, who went against the norm to get to where they wanted to get to. And the strong always find a way to survive. And all you people with opinions on what he should do, what he can't do, and all the limitations you're putting on him, it'll always be a question there about what have you accomplished that's so great that puts you in position to knock somebody else for doing what they're doing, to give somebody else no chance at achieving their dream. What have you done that's so great? I think you guys should focus more on sharing that, because I think that might be more inspirational for the youth coming up, for the people who are struggling to get where they need to be. You might actually do something good, but I just don't see any good coming from the tearing down of somebody who's trying to chase a dream, who's daring to be great. I don't get it. It does nothing for you. I mean, I guess it does to a degree. Maybe it's that important that you're right, that you're calling everything the way it's happening, and that you end up crowning yourself the oracle of everything boxing or everything whatever you're doing. I guess. Or you just might not know no better. Maybe it's that difficult for you to actually think outside of the conditioning that society has placed on you, outside of the ceilings that society has placed over your head. Let me take that back. Let's be honest. Outside of the ceilings you place on your own head. Misery loves company. Misery loves company. I didn't make that up. Right? I'm not the oracle who just put that out there. Clearly, through time, we've all seen that. Misery loves company. Miserable people hate to sit alone at the table of misery, always looking for somebody else to bring in there with them. But shout out to the people who can see beyond that. And I'd encourage all of you to consider seeing beyond that and not being caught up in the nonsense of the world and the limitations that the world are going to always try to put on you. You know, it's sad. It's a sad world. But look, we're grateful for the whole experience. We're grateful for the opportunity to be here and even share from a platform with however many, thousands of people might end up seeing this. We're going to stay in that frequency level. We're going to keep talking in that frequency of love. We're going to stay available for God to use. We're going to stay available for great things to come through. And we're going to, pray for the rest and wish you guys the best. And I hope you guys figure it out, whatever it is you're trying to figure out. And we're going to keep it like that, right? So let's get into the conversation. Let's get deeper into the conversation. Let's talk some boxing. Why don't we do that? Well, Francis Ngannou, what did he show the world? Well, what he showed the world is obviously everything that I said before, but he also showed how patient he could be. He also showed that the big lights and the big show doesn't affect him, and him bringing that natural, physical, God-given talent and ability that he has to hit hard, and the athleticism that he brings to the table, and the confidence he brings to the table, that really translated into something great on Saturday night, right? Because what you saw is, it's one thing to learn and know how you're going to go into fight and what to do, but it's different to actually have the confidence to actually execute it. Mike Tyson said everybody has a game plan until they get hit in the face, and to me, all that means is when it's sunny, everybody's happy and it's easy for them to do what they got to do. But when it rains is when we're going to find out who you are. And Francis Ngannou found out, and he showed himself on Saturday night what he's made of and what he would do when he got punched in the face, which was stick to the plan, have confidence in himself, and know that that was his road to victory, was to not come off that game plan. And as a community, as part of the MMA community and part of the boxing community, I was so proud of him to see him do what he did, because he showed with hard work and confidence in the work you put in, anything is possible. So he has a foundation now that we all see that can be worked on, right? A lot of people say he already brings better technique in boxing than a lot of the heavyweights in the division, namely Deontay Wilder. And I know a lot of people don't get their feathers ruffled, but at the end of the day, some people acknowledge and understand that Deontay Wilder doesn't come into the game with a certain with the normal skill set that's taught in boxing, that he's weak in a lot of them areas, and that he has a lot of holes in his games. And what he brings is something that he counts on and that he's found a lot of success with. We make no argument that Deontay Wilder is sitting at 44 or somewhat fights, 40 knockouts or 41 knockouts and a draw, and et cetera, 2 losses with Tyson Fury. But understanding that from the beginning of him boxing, he also came into the game late, and he came in with his natural abilities, and they were building a strategy around his natural abilities that he didn't come with. He's been boxing since he's been 7 years old to learn how to catch and shoot and all those things. He had to work with what he had. So because of that, you can see when he fights, even most of his fights, to be honest with you, until he actually wins the fight, a lot of these fights he's actually losing until he wins, right? But he does have, as he says out his own mouth, that equalizer. He has that one shot that everybody has to worry about, where everybody else has to be good for the whole fight. He only needs to be good when he hits you with that right hand, and it's night. It's over. And give him his credit for being the hard puncher that he is, right? But a fighter who could weather the storm, the potential storm, and not only that, but also go ahead and reciprocate danger, power, one knockout punch ability. One knockout, with one punch ability could cause and present some problems for him, and can give him things that he has to deal with that he's maybe never had to deal with. Maybe he's never been hit as hard as he's hit somebody else. I personally don't remember seeing him get hit like that. Maybe Luis Ortiz, maybe you guys might want to say Luis, but for the most part, Francis Ngannou brings a set of skills and natural abilities that a lot of people are going to want to see those two mega giants, power punchers, in the ring with each other to get the questions answered ultimately. Now, what's going to make a fight like that happen? Money, clearly. And at the end of the day, is the most money for Francis Ngannou with Deontay Wilder? I'm not sure, maybe. But I would say there's a strong argument to present somebody like Anthony Joshua as maybe the highest pay that Francis Ngannou could be involved with, because Francis is 37 years old, looking to make as much money as possible. He's not looking to fight 30, 40, have 30, 40 boxing matches. I'm sure he's limited on the amount of matches he wants to have, and he wants to make as much money as he can from it. So, Anthony Joshua being an international superstar known across the whole planet, including the U.S. at this point, but really everywhere else, I don't know if Deontay Wilder holds that same star quality that Anthony does. So, money-wise, it would seem that he would really entertain a fight with Anthony Joshua, but who knows? Beauty's in the eye of the beholder, and whoever's controlling the money, what they see as the most profitable move, it'll be more than likely what we'll see as the next fight for Francis Ngannou. But look, we're going to keep it short and simple. There's other things that I also want to talk about. We're going to say that for another episode, because shout out to my boy Keyshawn Davis. Big fan of Keyshawn. He had a little run-in with some things, got a fight taken off his record, also jeopardized, pretty much canceled the fight that he had lined up for December as well, and that he can't do right now because of getting in trouble with certain things. And we'll talk about that, and fighters, being committed to their craft and doing the right thing to get them where they need to be, because that's also another conversation. But when it comes to this Francis Ngannou conversation, I'm interested in your comments, in your opinions. Please feel free, share with me what you feel about it, and comment, like, subscribe. Look out for more episodes. It's gonna get better. I'm learning so much right now. We're getting in with the artwork right now for the thumbnails, also implementing videos and all types of other things that we're going to be implementing with the content as well. So keep an eye on us, and definitely subscribe. All right. Until then, though, it's your boy Claymore Rain. It's the ATP Combat Media Show, and we'll see you guys soon.